Hello everyone, I'm Marcos from Marcos Tech Tips, and today I would like to review the mid-2013 15-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display. I did do an unboxing video to this device a couple of days ago, and it should be either on my channel or it should be a related video to this video, so you should be able to find it quite easily. I bought this device a couple of days ago in order to replace my 13-inch MacBook Pro that I might have mentioned in the other video. It was a mid-2009 model. I've had it for over 4.5 years, and I gotta admit that it's taken quite a hard toll over the years due to the heat, humidity of where I live. And so at some point in its life it started a bit to lag and started to slow down, and eventually it did lack quite a lot of power, and I wasn't able to use it for daily use because it was just way too slow. So in that case, I decided to buy the 15-inch MacBook Pro. Now before I started, I do want to mention that I went to an Apple store to buy this thing, and I was faced with a choice, and I'm going to explain what that choice was. Now at the Apple store you could get, there are many models of MacBook Pros, and I could either get this MacBook Pro, the end-of-the-line 13-inch MacBook Pro. It's the 13-inch, and actually this is a 2.6 gigahertz dual-core i5, but there was also the 13-inch 2.8 dual-core Intel Core i7 with a turbo boost of up to 3.3 gigahertz, and that one costed $2,000. So I was either faced with the choice of the $2,000 13-inch 2.8 gigahertz dual-core i7, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of PCIe based flash storage, or for $2,000 for that same price, I was also offered the 15-inch MacBook Pro that had a 2.0 gigahertz quad-core Intel Core i7 with the turbo boost of up to 3.2 gigahertz, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and a quarter of a terabyte worth of flash storage. Now I could pick either this one or the 13-inch. Now, if you're faced with the same choice, should you ever buy a MacBook, and I can either get this device, which was a bit slower on more extensive tasks, since this has a kind of a smaller turbo boost, and it does have a dual core, so it's a bit slower. It's faster on short-term operations if you just need to switch on your computer and work on stuff very easily. That one will actually do quite well. But if you work on rendering on iMovie and all these really harsh programs, then you probably should get something that has four cores rather than 2. This i7 actually has a turbo boost of 3.2 gigahertz, which I will admit would be a slightly less powerful than the turbo boost that will be offered. Actually, it would be the same turbo boost that would be offered on the other 13-inch. I'm not sure if it's 3.3 or 3.2, but it's the same thing anyways, because this is quad core and the other one's dual core, so you'd get 4 cores of that power rather than getting just 2. On this model you get 8 gigabytes of RAM and just a quarter of a terabyte worth of flash storage. So you really have the choice between something that's portable, has 13-inch, that has a bit more space, that has a battery that's slightly more powerful, because this one only has 8 hours and the other one has 9 hours, but you'd be a bit short on performance compared to this one, which on more extensive tasks would just kick ass basically. So I decided to pick this one because since I do loads of iMovie and I do loads of Photoshop and all these things, this really does cut the deal because it gives so much more power over the long term than what the other one does. And I guess I've always worked with a quarter of a terabyte worth of flash storage. Well, on my was a regular hard drive, so I've always worked with that kind of size, so it should not be a problem for me. Intel Iris Pro compared to the Intel Iris, which actually allows for a much better graphics rendering, and certainly a much faster one, because, I mean, the graphics take, and obviously you don't notice the difference because it's too small, but you do notice that sometimes the computer has a quick lag that lasts maybe just a quarter of a second, but you do notice it sometimes when you need to open iPhoto and maybe zoom in or zoom out on all of your photos, and you see this sort of quick lag when you're changing the size of the window, whereas if you're on this thing with the Iris Pro, you'll notice that there is no lag and that it's much faster. So that one's one thing to recommend. So it was $2,000 here, $2,000 there. Get whatever you want. I mean, they're both really good anyways. Now, one thing I love about this device is the super resolution. Now, this device has a resolution of exactly, I'm going to give you the numbers, of 2,880 per 1,800 worth of width. So 2,880 width, and then 1,800 worth of width. Sorry about that. And that resolution on a screen that's actually quite small, because 15-inch, I mean, it's not that large. It's huge for a laptop, obviously. Well, it's actually standard size for a laptop. But, for that resolution, which is higher than Full HD, the resolution just looks amazing to the eye. You're carrying, such a high resolution on such a small screen, relatively, so I will admit that does strike the eye. You can't see that on the video, but if you ever have a chance of looking at a MacBook Pro with a Retina display, I really recommend you to do that. And if you also have a chance to go to an Apple store, and or whichever, it's also nice to go check these things out because they look absolutely amazing. So I recommend that. Now, one thing that I'm particularly disappointed about is that on the older MacBook Pros, if you know them, they have this sort of button here where you have many LEDs that show you how much battery the device is left, which we don't have on that, which I'm quite disappointed about, but I guess that's one of the things you just have to live with if you want to buy a new device. On this side we have the MagSafe 2, which is a newer MagSafe. It looks pretty much the same. I don't know what the difference is between the both, to be entirely honest, so I can't really say. With that, we've got two Thunderbolts 2, which are apparently capable of transferring up to, hold on, I can't focus on this, which apparently do appear to give almost to 20 gigabits worth of channel for each channel. It has two channels for each Thunderbolt. Standard USB, I'm not sure if this is 2.0 or 3.0, and then we have a headphone jack. I'm not sure, like I said in the other video, whether you can use this as an input or, because I know that on the older MacBook Pros you can also switch this as an input and you can plug in a microphone. I don't know if you can do this on the new one. On the other side we have an SD card slot, which is always good to have, an HDMI port. I'm happy they put the regular HDMI rather than putting the smaller one, because these devices sometimes are really annoying. When you're trying to plug in HDMI devices onto TVs, usually the cameras nowadays have micro HDMIs, and annoyingly enough, you always have to get adapters or special cables to it, plus another USB. Another downside to it, which I don't particularly like, but that's just standard on 15 inches MacBook Pro, is that when you have a 13-inch MacBook Pro, if you spill a bit of water on the side, you just spill it on the aluminum. In this case, if you spill water, you're spilling it on the speakers. This thing just switched off. Let me switch it back on. And if you spill on the speakers, chances are you'll damage them. Now, that's not something really to look forward to. I've been using this thing on the bed. I actually haven't used it, I've just switched it on. But one beautiful thing is that even though you have it on the bed, it doesn't heat up. Since it has so much power, it really does not heat up at all. So that's one thing that I'm really happy about. Usually when I use my old MacBook Pro now, for anything I do, it just heats up even if I just type something. So that's not something that's really positive about it. Especially if you have it on your laps, it burns up. My older MacBook Pro would heat up to 100 degrees Celsius, which I think is the equivalent of almost like 380 or 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is actually a lot. And this one doesn't even heat up, and it's been sitting on this thing for over an hour, I think. So that's one thing that's quite positive about it. Overall, it's a great device. I'm really happy I bought this thing. It does have everything that the oldest MacBook Pro used to have. It does have the multitask gestures. It does have the screens. Obviously, this has nothing to do with the device itself. It has to do with the operating system. It does have the dashboard, which is one thing that we used to have also back then. And then all the standards application of Mavericks, Finder, we've got Launchpad, Safari, Mail, Contacts, iCal, now called Calendar, Notes, Maps, Messages, FaceTime, Photo Booth, and then these things came with the computer, so iPhoto, Pages, Numbers, Keynote, iTunes, iBooks, App Store, and the system preferences. I don't particularly like the new iWork in iLife, so I'm probably going to return to the old ones that I still have because I prefer these really. But that's just my problem. So in any case, this device is pretty good. It does have its pros, it does have its con. It's very light, it's very versatile. It does not have a CD drive, which is why I bought the USB super drive, which I should be unboxing in another video soon. And I'll make sure to put that online as well so you can see it. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you for watching. I am Marco from Marco's Tech Tips. You may follow me on Facebook if I managed to put the Facebook page by then. And I'll be posting more videos soon. I'll be reviewing Samsung Galaxy S5, which I'll first of all be reviewing the S3 because that's the one I have. I'll also be reviewing the HTC One, the M7, and I'll be reviewing a Asus M. No, it's not M. Sorry, it's a Windows tablet. It's a Windows 8.1 professional tablet. Now, I know these devices aren't the newest models, but the models are quite great, and really, to be honest, if you want to buy something that's great but that doesn't cost a lot, you can get those devices, because, I mean, they might cost only $200, $300, $400 now, contract free. But, I mean, new models are just great. I mean, they work as fast as, you can possibly think of. I mean, if you want the newest model, you can just get them. But, these devices are quite great, and they're an investment if you don't like to spend a lot of money on electronics. So that's one thing to consider. And I will also be unboxing and reviewing an iPhone 5C very soon, so I will also make sure to keep you updated on that. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I'm Marco from Marco's Tech Tips. See you soon.